I would like to welcome our friends from Australia and Brazil who've recently started listening to This Is True Really News, and ask you, please make sure that you like and or follow This Is True Really News, and actually
don't forget
ask your
to subscribe.
friends. Oh, and or subscribe.
Thank you.
And please ask your friends and relatives to do the same.
And actually, the question I have is,
Yep.
what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I mean, you're listening. You're us.
Are you nuts?
That's the question.
This is True, Really News with Scott Combs and Tony Vercanis. All the news you're about to hear is true, as far as you know.
An international con artist, international con artist is getting arrested after prostitutes kick his butt. Sounds like something from Hollywood movie, right? Probably
Yes.
a comedy starring Eddie Murphy. Well,
And
back
Whoopi
when he
Goldberg.
Yeah, there's a comic should have her butt kicked. But it turns out, once again, reality is stranger than fiction. Bernio Jordan Enzo Verhagen. Wow.
That's a lot.
He's Suriname born. He's a con man. He has Dutch citizenship.
Oh, yeah, that makes some sense.
He really?
Yeah.
Okay. He's got
It's from the
a Spanish
colonial era, I
sounding,
believe.
an Italian sounding, Dutch sounding, and Jordan.
He's a man of the world.
Okay. He's very he's very much into what he does. Though he's only 27, Verhagen has amassed an impressive list of charges for fraud and scams. But it seems he finally will be brought to justice. Maybe. When trying to impersonate a famous European soccer player in Colombia, a group of hookers ended up calling his bluff. When he couldn't produce the kind of riches he, claimed to have, being a European soccer star, the sex workers started pummeling him to the point that cops had to be called in to save him. And you can probably guess how that whole thing ends when the police get their hands on a famous scammer.
They take him in.
Or not. Verhagen, being a foreigner, was in the hands of the police. The Colombian cops learned something interesting from Interpol. Verhagen had been convicted of fraud in Denmark, charged with kidnapping in Chile. And looking at his unpaid financial records, it was clear to the cops that he was a grifter, a really high stakes grifter.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, Verhagen didn't have any active international arrest warrants, so they had no choice but to let him go. Although Santa Marta's police commander did invite any companies that Verhagen may have defrauded to get in touch with him, it seemed Verhagen had gotten off scot-free. Or not. A couple of days later, Dutch authorities issued an international warrant for his arrest. And being as the cops are keeping an eye on Verhagen, they knew right where he was and went and arrested him. Colombia's immigration authorities arrested him at a luxury apartment in Barranquilla, which he had also acquired through fraud. Some people just don't get it.
A Tampa urologist was preparing to do surgery on a man to remove enlarged veins. Now, to make sure he did the surgery on the proper site, he marked it.
How many sites does he... Never mind, sorry.
That many.
I'm sort of wincing. Yeah, I think
Two sites.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Things were going swimmingly, and the doc was all set to finish
Don't
up
say
when
swimmingly when we're talking about a urologist.
things were going fairly well when the doc was all set to finish up when he realized he'd operated on the wrong testicle. Whoops. So he tried to fix the problem by doing the same thing on the other testicle.
Holy balls.
As you can imagine, neither the patient nor the powers that be were all that pleased.
You think?
Dr. Raul Fernandez Crespo has been fined $2,500 and required to pay another $2,045.56 reimbursement for Department of Health costs dealing with the case. In lieu of the reimbursement, Dr. Fernandez Crespo would be allowed to take a 5-hour continuing ed course in risk management, sit through 8 hours of Board of Medicine disciplinary hearings, and give a 1-hour lecture about doing surgery on the wrong site at an approved medical facility. I think I'd try to scrape up the 20 other.
I'd find the money because that other stuff is a death sentence. Police rescue Australia.
All of it?
Well, no, Australian police had to rescue 2 guys in a forest after they were startled by a deer while nude sunbathing on a beach and became lost. Hang on, it makes a little sense.
They got startled by a deer and lost?
The men called for help on Sunday evening after they became lost in the Royal National Park south of Sydney.
Okay.
According to Police Commissioner Mick Fuller, unbelievably, we saw... no, I'm not going to try an Australian accent. Unbelievably, we saw two men sunbathing naked on a beach on the south coast. They were apparently startled by a deer while they were bathing, sunbathing, naked, and hence ran into the national park and got lost.
They ran into the park starkers, just so you know.
The starkers?
Stark naked. Starkers.
Is that an Australian thing?
I think so.
Like
it's at least a British thing.
And can I say wanker without being embarrassed? No. Okay, I won't say wanker then. Their rescue involved police aircraft, the state emergency service, and ambulance officers. Sorry, the men were fined 1,000 Australian dollars. They should have paid in American money. It's only $759 that way.
That's right.
So they're each fined 1,000 Australian bucks for breaching the stay-at-home pandemic order that restricted them to Sydney. The 39-year-old man was found naked and carrying a backpack. The 49-year-old, older obviously, and smarter, was partially clothed. Startled by a deer while nude sunbathing in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah, what could go wrong there?
This is a recipe for exactly what happened.
I'm just trying to figure out if they had police aircraft. Obviously, they had ground personnel, the emergency service, and ambulance officers. What do you suppose the bill for that would be? Just roughly. Would it be more or less than a lot?
Or U.S.?
Either way, it's going to turn out to be mucho money.
Yes. And that's in Australian speak.
Yeah. In ours, it would be slightly less mucho money.
Winston Churchill. The wit and wisdom of Winston Churchill.
Sir Winston Churchill to you.
Where there's a will, I want to be in it. The last thing I want to do is hurt you, but it's still on my list.
The last thing I do is want to hurt you, but it's still on the table.
Yeah. Since light travels faster than sound, some people appear bright until you hear them speak.
That is so true.
If I agreed with you...
We are living proof.
If I agreed with you, we'd both be wrong.
I've actually used that one.
They begin the evening news with good evening, then proceed to tell you why it isn't.
For 30 minutes. Well, 22 minutes, 30 seconds minus commercials.
Exactly.
I miss Walter Cronkite, but he died on his own, so I didn't have to shoot again.
What?
I have no idea.
Oh, my Lord. What are you thinking?
Did you watch sleep last night?
Yeah, well, maybe that's it.
I would say you can take that out, but I'm guessing you won't.
No, there's no way I'm taking that out.
Dick. And we're back to the weird doctor.
This is true, really news. Send email to TiTR@netradio.network.